No doubt. So welcome to the first episode of the RPR podcast, season 3. I think I might have ran through 3 seasons. I know either season 3 or season 2 was very short. I realized early on, I started June 1st and had about 17 episodes around June 20th or so. And I said, I can chop these up into certain seasons, right?
Right.
You can, one of the main things for, whether it be YouTubers, artists, podcasts, get as much content as you can. I mean, I'm sure you would agree. I don't know how long you've been doing your thing, bro, but I've told you on record, off record, I love what you do. You get some of the dopest, bro. You get some of the dopest interviewees. You feel me?
Yeah.
I remember tapping into one and you were talking to Rafi, and then he referenced the LMNO. I'm like, he must be talking about LMNO on another show. I scrolled through, I was like, yeah, he got LMNO too, and Rafi. I was like, bro, this is too good. So this is how we'll start it. Like I said, it's an honor to have you, because I feel like, for whatever flavor we bring to the table in our own right, I feel like you are kind of in the same vein of kind of the stuff that I'm trying to shed light on. Obviously, the Instagram handle for the love of hip hop, if memory serves me correctly, and I'm in the same vein. I am an artist, I'm an MC and a poet, but also I want to shine light on what I think is good content, right? Because the mainstream is flooding the airwaves with toxicity and quite frankly, art that is not even that appealing, to be honest.
Agreed.
So I would say, your name, where you're from, your strengths and weaknesses, and then as I say on all the episodes, my favorite, your superpower if you have one. So go ahead and let the people know what it is, man.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody who's checking in, either live or on the playback. Thank you very much, Jay, for having me on. My name is Eric Trent. I'm from Lawrence, Kansas originally, living in Wichita, Kansas right now, and I run For the Love Hip Hop on Instagram, YouTube. So I'm 24. I started doing my thing in about, I want to say it was December of 2019 on YouTube.
Okay.
And I started out with 3 videos. It was since I'm from Kansas, my top 25 Midwest rappers of all time.
Ooh.
So I just made a 3-part series, just breaking those down, and then I made an Instagram page very shortly after. With YouTube, it's been a slower grind. I haven't put as much time into it, mainly because on Instagram I found it to be a bit easier for what I do, to gain more supporters and just reach more people. Started doing interviews over IG Live actually in 2021, so January 2021.
Okay.
And man, strengths and weaknesses, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would be a bit surprised, but speaking like this, it's not something that I had planned necessarily. It's not a huge strong point of mine, really, but I think just because of how passionate I am about music, specifically hip hop, of course, it becomes a whole lot easier than just to have a conversation with a random person about whatever it is, because it's just second nature. It's part of who I am. So yeah, man, started doing the lives, and praise God, it started, catching the ears of people like yourself, people who are like-minded, who are also interested in hip hop. So a strength would just be, I think, being able to be, maybe relatable to the common man or woman. Like you're saying, what we do, we shine light on artists who, might not be the most popular, but, they have something to say. They're truly talented. They take their craft seriously. And yeah, I guess that's part of my gift, is just being able to shine light on others and spread positivity and try to lift up those who I think, you know, deserve more of a shine. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think, you know, like you said, it is a shock, you know, not just for me, but I would dare to say others, that communication or public speaking may not be in your repertoire. But the thing that is that relatability, where as a human, you are a good communicator. So you know how to have a conversation, and that's all that podcasts are, is just conversations. Because, you know, I talk with my peoples, you know, a lot of them 25 plus years that I've been in relationship with them. I've known some of them since the 3rd grade. And, you know, really, I think COVID kind of kicked it into high gear, where you get familiar with FaceTime and Zoom. Like, everybody knows the Zoom chat. I'm sure you could make like a Charlie Chaplin, no audio, reel on TikTok or Instagram about a Zoom room, and everybody telling Helen that her mic's not on. You know what I'm saying? You don't even need no audio. But because of the day and age we're in, everybody knows what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I think, you know, with that being said, I want to kind of revisit where you said where you first started. I think essentially, you know, said 3 YouTube videos, the top 25 in Kansas. So it's a 2-part question. First, I would like to hear the top 5, right? Because I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, so I'm from the Southeast. You know, we would say dirty South, but also East Coast, because we were right in the middle of I-95. So we had New York, and then we also had, you know, ATL, Dungeon Family, you know what I'm saying, the dirty South. Like, we were right there. And so even Kansas City is like, I would assume, or is more like Midwestern type vibes, you know?
Right.
So just so you know, your visual went out.
Here,
but,
1 second here.
Yeah, take your time, man. Take your time.
Yeah, I'm just getting a phone call. It should be going away here in a second.
No worries.
My bad, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, here we go.
Comes with the territory. So yeah, so you're good. So my question, like I said, is 2-part. 1, what would be the top 5 on that list? And then this next question could change that, because is that top 25 list that you made, is that still the case in your opinion now?
Okay, so real quick, so it's actually the top 25 Midwest in general, not just Kansas. Yeah.
Got you.
Man, and for sure, it's actually changed a considerable amount, actually, which is crazy, you know. I think the older I get, the harder I find picking a top 5 or a top whatever.
Making that list.
It becomes more difficult, just because, you know, I'm listening to more stuff. You know, newer stuff is coming out. I'm digging up older stuff that I wasn't aware of, so it just becomes more difficult. But man, if I had to think of the top 5 that I had on that video, I want to say it would have been, I believe I had Royce the 5'9", Eminem, XV.
Okay.
Are you familiar with XV?
I was gonna say that's the first name. I mean, I know you only did 3, but that I'm not familiar with that.
I'll talk a little bit about XV.
I would love to. Yeah.
I think I had Lupe, and then Lazy Bone, maybe.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah.
So expound upon XV, because obviously, as I'm sure the viewers will be, I'm familiar with the other 4, but go ahead and drop some knowledge on us about that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so XV, he's actually from Wichita. He was signed to Warner Brothers back in, I'm thinking 2011, 2012. He had a song called Awesome that made it onto 2K11, I believe. In the remix, so he's mixtape days, grinding, making a name for himself. Ends up catching the ears of Warner Brothers Music. They sign him. You know, of course, the only rapper from Kansas that's getting signed to a major. So
right,
he was getting a lot of love. Awesome comes out. It's killing it. Gets a remix. on Warner Brothers with Pusha T.
Wow.
So that song, the remix ended up getting onto 2K11, I want to say. And I mean, it popped off, you know, millions of views, plays, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, he ran into some issues through just industry politics, and it was super disappointing as a fan, you know, because he had so much potential and they shelved his album.
Okay.
Now, he was able to put out a couple mixtapes during that same, you know, time period, 2010 to like 2012, 2013. You know, had features from Kendrick, production from J. Cole, Sci-Hi, Schoolboy Q, you know, all the who's who of the you know, what they like to call the blog era.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I mean, he was super dope. Still is, actually. And I actually met him in October of last year. He performed in Lawrence. I got to meet him in person and just talk to him and just chop it up. And it was just super cool because 14, 15-year-old me just starting to dig into his music. It was actually a few years after he had his, you know, peak in terms of popularity.
Right.
So I was able to, you know, just not even ask him about a whole bunch of political industry questions, but just get to meet him as a person and just talk to him briefly. And yeah, I mean, super dope dude, really nice guy, incredible artist. He's actually starting to make music again. I have a song on my best of 2022 playlist that he's actually on. So yeah, man, if you guys are unfamiliar with XV, definitely check out some of his newer stuff. And if you're a fan, then check out the back catalog. But very talented dude out of Wichita.
Yeah, I think, and thanks for sharing that, because it is important, because not until someone hears of somebody do they get familiar with them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure that you can pinpoint the moment in time and the song and the feeling and what you were experiencing in that season of life when you first heard XV. You know what I'm saying? So now, not just for me, but for whoever else that hears and sees this, they're gonna have their experience with him. So I will piggyback on that briefly. I feel like it might not be, but there's a gentleman, I think I've seen you in there a time or two in Wordplay and Worship and Takeover Tuesday. There's an XV guy in there. I think he's X like VII, but that's no relation. You wouldn't
Different
say.
guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see. So you're 24 years old. Did you go to school? Did you go to college? Are you still in college, or what's kind of the backdrop of that, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Yeah. I'll try to condense it, because it's a complicated story, but
it's a journey, huh?
Definitely. So, you know, being in high school and even when I was younger, I was definitely I was actually in the like gifted math class in elementary school until about 4th grade, I believe. And due to behavioral issues and whatever, didn't end up sticking with that. And around like, it's crazy, I can even pinpoint it back to almost, you know, late 5th grade, early 6th grade.
Right.
I kind of realized, you know, I'm smart enough to get by with doing very little effort when it comes to the actual academics, but, you know, I was an athlete pretty much my entire life. So I'm like, okay, I need to go to school. Of course, you know, I want to graduate high school and all that, no doubt. But I was really just coasting. Wasn't a big fan of authority as a teenager.
Right.
You know how it goes, but
as teenagers prone to be.
Right. So towards the end of my high school days, you know, I'm like, man, I just want to be done with school. I can't stand this. But I decided, you know, I want to make my family happy, and, you know, it wouldn't hurt to go get just an associate's degree. So
yeah,
I went to a place called Highland Community College, which is a tiny school.
Okay.
Northeast Kansas, real close to the border of Nebraska and Missouri. And so ended up getting my associate's degree from there. And then moved back home to Lawrence. And Yeah, man.
So in terms of athleticism, was high school the furthest level of sports that you competed at? And what I feel like you're at least a two-sport athlete. What was your repertoire?
Yeah, man. So I actually played basketball for 2 years, and one of
Okay.
my deepest regrets is actually quitting basketball because I still play
Me too,
all the
bro.
time.
Me too.
Man, there's a million things I could place blame on, but a large part of it was, just me just not being as confident as I should have been. And yeah, just part of it was also coaching. I kind of just lost the love for it, but
Yeah.
really I got to take my own responsibility there and just say, like, I should have kept on going, no doubt. But
Right.
definitely helps to be 6'4". I was definitely in the era of where big guys were starting to be able to play guard a little bit,
Okay.
but my school was still stuck in the older method of, oh, you're over 6 feet tall, go sit in the paint.
Yeah.
I'm a real skinny dude. I wasn't going to be doing a whole lot in the paint. So
right. So were you at small forward or were you a small power forward or?
I mean, they liked me to try to play center.
Wow, at 6'4"?
Right. Like my freshman and sophomore year, I'm probably like 6'2", 6'3",
Okay,
real
so
long arms.
Yeah.
So I'm a decent like shot blocker and everything, but on offense, my bread and butter was passing and ball handling. So
Nice.
I couldn't really do a whole lot of that while playing in the post. But anyway, yeah, man.
He's having flashbacks right now.
Right. So I hooped for 2 years, but then I played soccer all 4 years. And also did track and field all 4 years. So
yeah, where were you at on the soccer field? Were you like center halfback? Were you a defender? Would you play goalie or?
So I actually played keeper for a long time. Probably from like maybe mid 5th grade up until about 9th grade.
Oh wow!
And I decided I was like, I played on a traveling team that was, we were real solid. Admittedly, I was not incredible. I was good enough to be on the team.
Right.
And I wasn't a terrible player, but it was tough. We were playing against kids who were, top tier in our area. And it was hard. And eventually I was like, you know what? Going into high school, I want to switch it up. I want to do something different. So I actually switched to playing in the field.
Yeah.
Played a little bit of everything, but once I got older, definitely stuck with, center back.
Yeah.
Again, it helped being tall, so I could just head balls away.
For sure.
Little bit of outside back. Yeah.
Now, did obviously, people don't realize to be a soccer player, regardless of position, you got to be in great shape. You have to have a lot of stamina. Agility helps. I played soccer. My soccer journey started in Frankfurt, Germany, right? I was about 6 or 7 years old. At this time, my dad's like an E5, E6 in the military. We flew out from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was born, Fayetteville, home of J. Cole and Moray. You know what I mean? And so I lived on base. So all the military kids played in a league against all the German kids, know, and I don't even got to talk. We know how that worked out, but when I came back to Fayetteville, I played rec league, then I played middle school, and my middle school team, to give a comparison and contrast, football and soccer season are the same time. We only played 7 different teams because there was only 7 middle schools in our area. Football went 7-0, champions, boom. Soccer went 0-7. You know what I'm saying? I play goalie and center halfback. Our other goalie was a homeboy of mine, Brian Grimsley, that I played baseball with growing up and middle school baseball and stuff like that. He was like the Tim Howard. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I was just like the dude that if you get within 20 feet, which isn't even close, that's not even the goalie's box, I'm coming out there to dive on the ball. Because I don't want you to kick it past me because I'm not Brian Grimsley. You feel me?
Right.
Now, so I say all that to say, when I got to high school, me and my other friend, Kevin Morales, who, we played for Spring Lake in middle school, we're like, yo, let's play soccer. So we go out there, bro. First day, run and run and run. I said, bro, we ain't in no high school soccer shape, bro. We went out there one day, and we knew, bro. We knew. So I say that to say, how did that translate for you into track and field, and what I don't know what they call it. What events did you do in track and field?
Yeah. So middle school, I started out doing hurdles, I think it was like the 100-meter hurdles, I believe.
Okay.
And at first, you know, I was feeling myself. I was doing pretty well. Had a handful of guys that were definitely faster than me, but I definitely felt real confident. You know, again, being as tall as I was really helped at that time. But I actually can remember before my 8th grade year of track started, I was out demoing for the 7th graders that had just come in, like, oh, this is how you do hurdles.
Yeah.
And I'm going through, showing them technique and everything. And then towards the end, I started messing around and trying to be funny. I go over a hurdle and I eat it, man. Like, I eat it bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I can do without this. I'm not a big fan anymore. And I don't know, other people just started catching up to me, and I was like, okay, hurdles, maybe this is not my thing.
Yeah.
So definitely switched a bit of my focus to high jump, long jump, 400. High school, wasn't really much into running that much anymore. So I'm like, you know, I'm gonna just stick to high jump and long jump.
Yeah.
Long jump didn't really work out too great for me. I was average at high jump and just good enough at the 400 to where my coach would just randomly throw me into the 4x4. And I hated it because the 4x4 is at the very end usually, or very close to the end of the meet. So everybody's sitting there, they're done with their events, they're watching, going crazy. I mean, when I talk about it even sometimes, and I think back to some of those meets, my heart will start racing because of how just intense that race would always be. But yeah, man.
So the 400, I heard you say 4x4 is a relay.
Yeah.
Now, were you beginning? Did you bring it home? Were you in the middle? Where were you at in that?
So usually I would be on JV. It wasn't until my either late junior year and then part of my senior year that I got moved up to varsity. So when I would be on the JV team, normally I would run the anchor leg. Okay. So all the pressure is on me pretty much. Not all. For sure. Of it, but well,
especially if you're behind.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, like I'm saying, like I was on the cusp of being one of the better athletes on JV, but once I would move up to varsity, then I'm like, man, I'm behind. So it was sometimes I would be the person everybody's happy, like, oh, he's passing people, he's keeping us ahead. But then sometimes I'd have to run with the varsity guys, and I'd be thinking like, man, I'm letting the whole team down right now. So
the thing that I think about is, you know, somebody that I think we're both familiar with is, you know, Crumb from Deep Space 5, and he said, you know, they'll praise you one week and then crucify you the next. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you know, not to be extreme or cliche, but that's what our Savior went through. And he says, yo, if the world hated me, best believe, one, not if you just profess, but if your lifestyle is bearing fruit. And it's, you know, I've had a really tough month, bro. And I shared that the word playing worship that I didn't get to do live. Maybe there was a reason I didn't get in, you know, but I still wanted to put it out there because I was, you know, whatever. So the whole thing behind that was that, like, man, so my goals, I never really had goals when I was in middle school, high school. I lost my first friend when I was like 14, right? So I was like day by day. Like I wasn't thinking, oh, you know, let me go to XYZ, get the right credit so I can get accepted to all UNC branches of school. I didn't figure that out till like the last 9 weeks of my senior year and figuring out what do I need to do. Luckily, like you know, from third grade on, I was in academically gifted. Never math though. You know, I had to go to what they call it, where they teach you what's it called when you get somebody to teach you? Tutoring. So I went to math tutoring junior year, but it's because I was looking at the chalkboard in front of us, which was the geometry TLWD, the learner will demonstrate. I was in algebra 1. Algebra 1 was on the other chalkboard. So every day before we took notes and learned the lesson, I was writing down geometry stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that threw me off. Anyway, long story short, so bro, now, as you know, I'd say probably when I was like 24, 25, you know, not too far from where you're at, I began to look at goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, bumps in the road. When you get a bump in the road, do you have the wherewithal to adjust, to pivot, and then press on, right? So it's kind of like the pyramid foundation. I don't know the terminology, whatever. Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, financial, creative, and relational. So 7, right? 7 pillars of goals. For me, this is just what I do. I don't even, like I said, I don't know if it's a technical whatever. As long as I'm going up and I'm progressing in all those areas of life, I'm okay with that. I am, you know, Paul said that it is good to be content, not only in spiritual matters, but I'm content in all things, whether I have or whether I'm in lack, because I rest and I abide in the Lord. So I'm content. But to be content doesn't mean that you're settled with where you are, right? My biggest thing that I'm lacking in is financial. And that is to my own detriment, because I am not a very good steward of my money. There's been times where I budget well. There's been times when I've got overdraft fees and all I need is $2 in gas and I can't afford it. But I always have food, clothing, and shelter. So that's, at least I'm getting that part right, you know?
Right.
So I bring that up to say that on all those levels, bro, for me personally, I'm progressing upwards, but I'm getting hit from all different angles from, you know, people I love, relationships that I hold dear. And you know, God's been teaching me the scripture that says it's to a king's glory to overlook an offense, right? So I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, what does that practically look like? You know, how do I overlook an offense? Because I had a dude like threaten me physically and I was able to overlook that. But then my mom says, like, put the ketchup up, and that scars me. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is my life being threatened versus my mom? It's because I hold more value in that relationship with my mother, you know? So anyway, I bring all that up to say, you know, are you in a place where you have short-term and long-term goals? And if you do, would you care to share any of them? Like, I would say this, you know, being a fellow podcaster, and just to let you know, so we have 9 minutes left here. So I want to definitely be respectful of your time. If you want, I don't know what your time's looking like. We can come back in after these 9 minutes are up and we'll pick up where we left off. But Absolutely. If you're cool, yeah. So just touch base in the realm of anything. You don't have to put it in the box of podcasting goals. But I'm sure, you know, that's something you may do. This is like a 20% thing you do, but it's one of you're very passionate about it and you have a good perspective, and you know what I'm saying? So you don't have to limit it to that, but just you as a human being, you know, I mean, for the podcast and for your life in general, because, you know, I'm looking at the metrics and I've got like 19 to 38-year-olds that kind of have been checking this out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
man. To be honest, I'm in a transitional period through some of those short-term goals. One of those being, you know, even just moving away from Lawrence, you know, which is, you know, something, you know, like I'm saying, I lived in Lawrence outside of the 2 years that I was going to school in Highland. You know, my entire life I was in Lawrence, and I felt that, you know, there were definitely many factors, but one of the biggest factors was I just felt like, you know, I'm close to my family, I'm close to all my homies, whatever. I need to move away to Wichita. I need to pull myself back from everything for a bit. And I'm the type of person that, you know, I love my family, my friends, my community very closely. And I haven't done the best job of, you know, again, it's hard, even I think being a follower of Christ, right? Like, you don't want to be a selfish person. You want to give as much of yourself to people. You want to be a light to your friends, your community. But I was definitely overdoing it to the point where I was, you know, even leaning towards being a people pleaser and not really taking good care of myself. And I really just felt strongly. I was like, man, I think it's time for me to move somewhere further away. It's about a little under 2.5 hours from my hometown.
Which is good. That's a good,
Right.
that's a good space. You
Right.
have the ability to be independent, get to know yourself more. But if you want some home cooking from mama and go somewhere with the homies,
Right.
hop on the highway.
Exactly. So yeah, that's one of them, is just moving out here. And you know, obviously I'm not fully aware of what all has been going on with you, but man, it's been pretty rough here too in this new place I've been living at. Man, it's, you know, got bit by a brown recluse multiple times last week. Tons of roaches, just all types of issues, but that's just part of it, you know. And then on the positive side, this has been a huge blessing to me. I actually just got hired by Trackstars a few weeks ago.
What?
And for those who don't know, Trackstars is, you know, one of the dopest hip hop media companies, especially for Christian hip hop. It is number 2, just right behind Rapzilla. And yeah, I've been rocking with them, you know, loosely since I was probably like 14, 15 years old. So almost 10 years later, it's incredible to, you know, as I'm starting to really you know, rock with their page more than I ever did in the last like year or so. Ended up reaching out to them back in November, I believe. And I was thinking, man, there's no way they're gonna get back to me. You know, my page is nothing right now. I only maybe had 300.
Bro, your page is fire, bro. But your page, it's not even in the rough, but listen, honestly, your page is a diamond in the rough because it's still so raw. There's not, you know, I'll throw out some names, and all of these are big ups. Like, I love all of them, or I wouldn't know their names. It's not a Ruslan. It's not a This Is Not Christian. It's not a Crew Hip Hop Corner. It's not a Track Stars. It's not a This Is That. But it's for the hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that, my friend, is why Track Stars responded in whatever form that they did, because they see it. They not only see the potential, but the proof is in the pudding, and the fruit is already there, bro.
Right.
Because diamonds only get brighter as you continue to chisel away, because they're going to be able to pour into you things that maybe you didn't think. Like, as I continue recording, and I'm sure you've noticed on your own, as you do more, you said, oh man, I said too much there. Or, you know, for me, it's like I have to have 5 things streaming, because I had an hour and a half that was straight audio silence. And I told my brother, I said, you know what, bro? I said, I bet you that conversation was for me, you, and the Lord. No one else was supposed to hear that. But I was very upset because there was so many gems.
I feel you, man.
Yeah. But my bad, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's beautiful.
Yeah. And to hit on that point with, you know, being able to just soak up knowledge from people that are, and I'm not hating on the older folks here, but I am considerably younger than even the second youngest person in Trackstar. So it's been incredible, because this is what I've been looking for is, you know, the fellowship with people who are older than me, who have way more knowledge and experience when it comes to just entertainment in the hip hop field, because that's something that is, you know, the basis of what I do. Like, I really started this also, like you were saying, during COVID. I got a phone, I got time, I got, like, what else am I gonna do? I might as well hop on and do this. I didn't have friends who were into similar things like this. I had one homie who, my dude, his name's Hamza. He's a TikToker.
Okay.
And he's popping off, but he's one of the very few people who I could talk to about, you know, anything somewhat like-minded when it comes to like content creation. But you know, when it comes to like hip hop, you know, I didn't know anybody that worked in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm in Lawrence, Kansas. Like, I didn't have any connections. So you know, having Crispy, shout out to Crispy, he was the one who connected with me. He's the guy who runs Trackstar's social media.
Okay.
He was the one who reached out to me originally. We followed each other, ended up talking a bit, and you know, I sent him an email. It took a while for Trackstar to get back to me, but yeah, man. Actually, about a week after I moved to Wichita, they ended up, you know, contacting me back, and you know, made things official. So
yeah, well, you know what you're gonna have to do, right? You're gonna have to, so you don't even really got to put the down payment, but you're gonna have to go to the website, get the little Track Stars hat. You know what I'm saying? Throw the little Instagram green screen on. Have this is not Christian Roots Line Crew Hip Hop Corner Track Stars. I've decided to take my talents to the Track Stars. You know what I'm saying? Have a whole rollout. You know what's beautiful, bro, is that God's hand is moving so much, not in just Christian media, but Christian hip hop media in particular, because bro, we are under fire because we are the mouthpiece that is going to affect the future generations. Because as I say, the hip hop is a young man's game in some respects. You still have Jay-Z and Nas and M doing their thing at a high age. You have some OGs in hip hop now still doing their thing. But you look at who's popping mostly in the CHH space. A lot of times it's the youngers, but now the spitters are coming back. The lyricism's coming back. You look at Hip Hop Is Not Dead Volume 1 with Dayton, bringing in Mike Peace and Mike Peace, you know what I'm saying? Bringing in these guys. And it's just because God is, I feel like he's shifting. He's making a shift. He's like, all right, let me show that we have talent, skills, witty MCs, lyricism. We have, I mean, I don't know all their names, but like Richie Righteous, Sean Tannen, and then like the DJ dude, I think are the three main cut. And bro, the aesthetics are beautiful. So I'm gonna stop us right here. Once we come out, just click right back on the link and we'll be right back in. All right.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, bro. Cool.